Hey, good night, everyone. Beautiful face, Christy. That was perfect for the start of our call. For our team chat tonight, we're going to be talking about simplifying the invite process. Thanks, everybody, for popping on. It's Sean Week. So if you haven't checked out the workouts that are on demand, they are fun and really, they get you. I love that there's a modifier if you haven't tried it yet, because they are intense, but it's a lot of fun. Does anybody have anything they want to share that's upcoming? Just a reminder, we have the t-shirts, the team gear. You can order those at any time, and we're not making money off of them. It literally all goes to the design. So you can find that on the team page. Christy posted that. Really cute jackets and tanks. And let's see. I can't think of anything that's coming up that we haven't shared already or talked about on the page, team page. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Again, I apologize in advance with my voice. I sound awful. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Go. Okay. Can everybody see the page? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, good. So like I mentioned, we're going to talk about simplifying the invite process. This is just something new. I guess I've done it before, but I feel like I finally have mastered it, and it's worked in the past, but I have a good system going down. If you read the description of this team call, basically last month I had done lots of inviting, but I was at Success Club 0, I think close to the last week. It was for sure the last week of the month. And I was super worried, that you get that feeling when it's at the end of the month. You're like, I haven't helped anybody get set up. And I knew this was coming up. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to relax. I have this process that I'm doing, and I'm just curious to see how it's all going to work this month. And it was a success. I hit Success Club 12 in, I think, 4 days. And then I actually had another person join at the beginning of June. So ultimately would have had Success Club 14, or helped 7 people just from doing what I'm going to show you tonight. Before I go into what I did, I want to talk about the perfect invite. There is no perfect invite. I think the main thing that I find when my invites are is when, number one, they're personal. So you have a personal message in there. If you're sending cold messages to people and there's nothing personal in that, it's not going to grab their attention. So you need to have something that's grabbing their attention too. But it also isn't building that relationship, and it feels salesy. I don't know about you guys, but I get so many messages from other network marketing company, independent sales people that I don't even want to respond to. And I actually don't, which is really bad. But it's just a mass message that I can tell they sent to everybody. And that is number one. If I can give you any advice, or you remember anything from tonight, don't do that. Don't just send out a mass message to people because it's not personal. They didn't feel special that you invited them. You want your invitations to be personal and special, right? You want to grab their attention. So whether it's a post that you're doing, it's going to grab their attention. It shouldn't be anything that's salesy. So in those attention grabber posts, so these all kind of go together. You want it to be a scroll stopper. Also, not salesy. You don't want to post anything that has a picture of the portion control containers that's stock images. So you can show how you're using the portion control containers or your before and afters. Don't post any Beachbody stock images. I actually refrain from doing a lot of Beachbody stuff in general. because you are promoting yourself as a coach. You can help anybody, right? And we just are lucky that we have these awesome resources that help us help people. So make sure that you are promoting yourself first, and then super relaxed. So anytime I am sending a message, I want the person on the other end to feel relaxed. I don't want them to feel pressured. I don't want them to feel like gross that I sent them some salesy invite. And I don't want them to think that I need them to join. I want them to make that decision on their own. So I always add in any message that I send, like completely no pressure, like totally okay if you're not interested in this. Like I always add something like that because it does matter to me that they join because I want to help them, but I only want to help people that actually want my help, right? And I never want someone to feel gross from a message that I get or feel like turned off or from a message that I send or turned off from a message that I send. So just remember, like, you're talking to a friend anytime you send an invite, and there is no perfect invite. If you looked back at all of my old ones when I first started, they were awful. So it's just a process of finding what you're comfortable with and finding what works. So before we start, I love this warning. All doubts for June are canceled. So I had so many doubts in May. I was like, oh my gosh, it's the end of the month. And I know this, like I've had done this before. But all of my doubts like came in. I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to help that many people or nobody's going to want to join any of my groups. Like, I don't know if you ever have that feeling. I know I do. And I don't want to. Anytime that comes in, like, just remind yourself, like, no doubts. June is going to be my best month yet. And I think I listened to that on one of the National Wake Up Calls is when she shared, you have to focus on that month being the best month that it's going to be ever, no matter what day of that month that it is. So don't ever doubt yourself. Okay, so this is kind of an intro into what I did. And a lot of people have heard of sneak peeks. It's very similar to that, but I feel like I've got a little bit of a groove down with it. And I try not to call it a sneak peek because I don't know about you, but I hear all kinds of like lingo for sneak peeks for this and sneak peeks for that, that I want it to kind of be something different. And I haven't really shared too much of like my prep lounge in my Facebook pages. It's more personal messages that I use. But what I do is I have a prep lounge and it's a closed group. I probably could make it secret too, but maybe not, because then people can invite their friends to it. And it's something that I keep open from month to month to month. So it originally started as a sneak peek, and then I've kind of changed it into something else. But I'm going to keep the name of Prep Lounge, and that's what it is. And these people will stay in here every month unless they've joined a group. Then I will remove them so that they're not getting all the notifications. So just an idea. We're starting, it's a group, and it's like a sneak peek. And I call it the Prep Lounge. And I've started also naming my challenges. So you don't have to do this by any means, but I've started branding my challenges as the Busy Girl Boot Camp. So this month it was Rock Your Kini Busy Girl Boot Camp, so that people start to know when they hear Busy Girl Boot Camp, they think Kate Noble. I want that to be something that's connected to me, right? When are you doing your next Busy Girl Boot Camp? I'm a busy girl. So that's just something that I've added in. Doesn't have anything to do with this call, but just something that, maybe it inspires you. Like if you have a mama's group or something like that, you could do that as well. But I've just tried to start branding it so that it's universal and when people know what I'm doing instead of challenge group. Okay. So I wanted to share, before I go into like what I do in the Prep Lounge, some sample invitations. And I asked Christy and Sindel to kind of share some of theirs as well. But these are just conversations. And I think that this is like that piece that's the scariest thing to do. It's the scariest thing to like send out an invite, but it's actually ridiculously easy. And all you do is have to send it, right? So here's a few samples. One that I did last month is I always started with something personal, and hey sweets, how are you? Was looking at your Vegas pics, so fun. Last time I was there was for your bachelorette party. Oh man, you don't want to know. Okay, was thinking of you today after I saw them and wondered if you had any interest in joining me and a few ladies for my boot camp. Completely no pressure, but figured I would check since I always love having positive mamas like you in them. This gal ended up joining, which is cool, and she actually is an Arbonne rep. So that was actually interesting as well. But that just goes to show, like, don't count anyone out. But I like that no pressure piece, and that's kind of that relaxed feeling. And I think having that personal message in there at the beginning gives her a reason to respond that's not just challenge related, and it doesn't feel like salesy, right? And this is an awesome one that Christy shared. Hey lady, and she's had a lot of like feedback from this one. She said, hey lady, this is super random. And this is, I mean, she could probably talk more to this, but this is great for when it's somebody that you know, but you maybe haven't connected with in a while, and you can still send those out. I do too. This is super random, but I was thinking about you today, and I was planning my next challenge group. They're focused on fitness, nutrition, accountability. They've changed my life. Does that sound like something that might interest you? Looking forward to hearing from you. So how hard is it to send that out? It's not hard at all. So don't overthink what you're sending when you do. And then this is one that Sindel shared, and I thought it was cool because she reached out to somebody that likes her posts, and it gave her a connection or something to talk about. So, hey William, first off, thank you for liking my posts on my page and my health and fitness page. And I'm not sure if this is something you're up for, but this is Sean Week for the Beachbody community. We are going to be doing all exclusive Shaun T workouts. He's the trainer for Insanity, if you've ever heard of the program. I'm hosting a free group for this week, and I'd love for you to join us. Would you be game? So all of those are super simple. All of those, I mean, I love you, Christy, and I love you, Sindel, and I love myself, but they're nothing special, right? They're personal. They're in our language, but there's not like some super message that's you're going to send out that's going to make everybody want to join you. The key to invitations is sending out more, way more than you want to join. And where I felt like the hardest piece for me to manage was all of those conversations after people were either interested or maybe interested or even not interested. I would have a hard time handling all those conversations, right? Especially with time. That's been a struggle for me as time management right now. So this has kind of helped me after these conversations. So you still need to send out your invitations. That's not what this call is about. It's managing the time after those conversations. Okay, so the next step. So after they've responded, I'll say something like, great, I really think you'd like it. We focus on nutrition, meal prep, and fitness, and the accountability is a game changer. I've had such a great response to this group that I'm gonna hop on a live in a private group and share all the details. Wanna check it out. So there's no pressure once they join this prep lounge to join. It's like, hey, do you wanna check it out, right? And then this is one, so after I've actually had the prep day, and maybe I'll come back to this after I explain the group, this is how I can still, so I could have my challenge at the end of the month. So my challenge starts at the end of the month, but I can still invite at the beginning of the month. I think sometimes we feel like, oh my gosh, my challenge group isn't starting for a really long time. I don't want to invite yet. But you could do your prep lounge or your sneak peek at the beginning of the month, and then share the prep day afterwards. So you can still use everything throughout the end of the month. And that's how one of my last challengers joined. I was like, hey, great. I did a quick live video explaining everything in the group. If you want me to share it with you, before you commit. So that's why I love this, is that you can use it, and then you can use it post having this prep lounge event day. So, and you'll understand that more as I go. So post one, it's just a welcome post, and I share, this is in the prep lounge, I share, what is this group all about? What am I going to be sharing with you? It's just kind of like an intro. So then when they get in the group, they know what to expect. And when I did this, when I was like, I have no idea what day I'm actually going to do my live prep day. So within the group, I don't do a bunch of posts throughout a week. I pick one evening, and that's when I share everything. So you can like open it and then decide at a later date when you're going to actually do the prep day. So post two. So then I decide the day, and it obviously would be better if you told them more than a day in advance. I just didn't. But you give them the schedule. So I'm excited to get this party started tonight. Here's the schedule for what to expect. So the schedule in this group is from 7 to 8 p.m. I'm going to post the transformation hour, and I'll go into that in a second. And then from 8 to 8:30, they'll have a live chat with me. And then at 8:30 is when registrations for my group opens up. So it's really great because if people start sending you questions before you actually have this prep day, you can say, oh, I'll discuss it on the live video, check it out. I'll discuss, I can answer it, but I'll be discussing that and more on this live video. So you can direct them to the live video so that you can manage your conversations, or like have less to converse about in your chatting. So it's just going to save you a lot of time. And then you know what things were important to them to talk about. So that's what you're going to expect. And then so posts 3 through 8 are the transformation hour. So that's once the event officially starts. And these are transformations from people on our team, some within our upline team. I did a post a while on our team page if anybody wanted to share their before and after pictures so that I could do this. And, a few people shared, so that was awesome. And I just start out every 10 minutes and I share, and I can give you this script because everybody openly shared all this information for me to use on our team. Please don't share it publicly, but I said it would be for a closed group. But they shared, hey, so here's Kendra, she's on our team. Here's her story. And she shared a little bit about her story, her before and after pictures. And then people could read through that during the hour. But having those transformation pictures from people that we know, I think just makes it more real. Like it gets people excited, and you can see like that person looks like me, and I want to make those changes too. So you can see progress of different types of people, different body types, and it's just motivating and inspiring. So I think I had one every 10 minutes, so there's 6. And then the last one was me. And I kind of said, of course, I want to share my transformation with you. It's kind of covered up. But I'm going to be sharing more of my story with you in just a few minutes. And then after that, transformation hour. Oh, cool. I didn't know I could do that. Sorry. You go live. This is the transformation hour. Yeah, all that stuff's great. But this is where you're really going to build that relationship, is when you go live and you share everything all at once. So it's usually about 30 minutes long. And that's kind of what I referenced in that post about what the schedule for the evening was. But I share everything. And so I first start out and I share my wellness story. I share things that I don't like to share. I get really personal. And sometimes afterwards I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I shared that. But I'm glad that I did, because I know that it inspired somebody. Talking about how I used to be able to, or I would hide food like candy from my husband and I'd eat it in private, all those little things. Or my husband was deployed, I'd order pizza and I could probably eat that whole thing. I had terrible habits. And it's those hard things that you want to share, because that's what's going to connect with people. Oh, whoops, it must not have saved. I was working on this slide last. Let me look to make sure to see what it said. You'll all see. Oh, I must have just skipped it. Okay. Oh, the 1 year, I'll add that in. So skip this bullet point, talk about your, but then I walk through the fitness piece of the group. So I share my story, and then I take my camera and I put it on a tripod, the live camera, I flip it and I show them my computer screen, and I walk through Beachbody On Demand and I show them, this is what you're going to get. And you're going to get this for 1 year. I don't even offer or talk about the other challenge packs, just the all access challenge pack, and especially won't talk about anything else until the price goes back up to $199. After that, I'll talk about the kind of like a downgraded option where you can get Beachbody On Demand for 3 months. And that's I think the 140 challenge pack, if they don't change that. So I only offer the Beachbody On Demand because they're going to get everything. And because now with my challenge groups, they're not 1 year long. The groups aren't 1 year long, but you join one group and you get access to the groups for a full year, whether they continue with Shakeology or not. Obviously, the goal is for them to continue on because I truly believe in it benefiting them. So I want them to have a successful challenge. But if they're doing the all access pass, I want to help them for that full year. So that's a big squeaking like a young boy whose voice is changing. I'm so sorry. But that's kind of a big perk that people are like, whoa, I get this for a full year. So I really stress that in the group. And I let them know why I want to help them. So I go into Beachbody On Demand. I show them kind of like all the different programs that they're going to get. It's pretty cool when they see every single program, and especially when they have that brand recognition. So they've probably heard of PiYo, heard of 21 Day Fix, heard of P90X, all those different things, but didn't know that you're going to get everything with this. So even if they just did one program, the cost is worth it. So after that, then I go in and I show them the nutrition guides. I actually pull up and click play on one of the videos too, so they can actually see like, this is what it's going to be like when you start your program. So it's really walking through everything, because what you want to do is establish value. You want to establish like every single little thing that they're going to get. So then when they see the price tag of $160, they're like, yeah, that is an amazing deal. And I think like sometimes it's really hard when you're having a conversation via like Messenger to really establish that value and to really create that relationship, because they're not seeing you talk. They don't see you fumble over some of your words. Like, you're just a real normal human like everybody else. And you were a challenger just like them, like a majority of people. You know, we're all challengers right now. So you're a challenger too. So I then I show them the nutrition guides. Like, I really walk through Beachbody On Demand. I talk about it, how it's like Netflix. And that clicks with people. And then I share about Shakeology and why I drink it and why it is so important. For me, the biggest piece for me is that I know I can't get those, and everyone's going to have a different reason. And Sindel is going to be sharing more on that next week. So that's going to be an awesome call to get on, is about Shakeology. But okay, now train of thought. For me, a big piece about Shakeology, like, is the fact that I can't get those things, like the nutrients and the superfoods, in during the day, like if I didn't have Shakeology, right? And I'm not, when I describe Shakeology, you guys, I'm not perfect. I'm not like, oh my gosh, Shakeology is this, this, and this. Like, I just say, hey, this is how I feel. This is how it works for me. So if that's ever daunting for you, because sometimes it definitely was for me, just be normal and real and say, this is why I like it. And this is why it works for me. It gives me a lot of energy, especially like being a new mom and I don't have time to like cook a nice breakfast. It's like the easiest thing for me. It gives me energy to get through the day. And I love knowing that I can't get these ingredients in no matter what. Even if I had like a ton of money, a lot of these you can't even get in the United States, right? They're coming from other countries. Anyway, so you don't have to be perfect when you describe it. Just talk about your experience. And then why you want to help them. So that's key. Like why do you want to help them, right? Is it because you had an awesome experience with it? You feel so good and you want other people to feel that good? So share that. That's when you're really connecting. So don't just share the programs or, share the guides. You want to talk about your story at the beginning, and then you want to conclude it with like, why do you want to help them? And then letting them know that you're not going to let them fail, or you're not, they ultimately are in control of whether or not they're going to do this, right? You can't like make them work out every day, but you're their coach and you're there to motivate them and to remind them why they started. So establish what your role is as a coach and why they need you. And then create a sense of urgency. So this one I did a $25 Amazon gift card if they join by a certain date. You don't have to do that. You could do a drawing for a $25 Amazon gift card if they join by Wednesday. So create that urgency. It could be a headband. It could be something small. It doesn't have to be big. It just depends on like what you're willing to be able to give that month. But you have to have the sense of urgency, or people are very unlikely to join by the time you want them to join. You have to have a sign-up date. But then people can still join after. Like, don't ever forget that. Okay. So then after I do my live post, I didn't put this in here, but I do cover the price. I talk about the price. I say, this is what it's going to cost, because I don't want to have those conversations afterwards. I don't want someone to say like, oh, well, how much does it cost? I want them to know right away, like, hey, I'm sharing everything. This is what it costs to sign up. It's an awesome deal. Like, share why it's an awesome deal and go through everything that you talked about before. And then it's over and I do a recap. You could either do it that night or the next day. And I just say, watch last night's stream. So I did this one the next day. Reach out to me. Let's chat about your goals, because this is where the people that are interested in joining, you're going to start chatting with them. So you are spending your time wisely. And then number 4, get registered by Wednesday to receive the Amazon gift card. So you just post a recap. Super easy, right? It's nothing like crazy. And then this is like, I think what really created momentum this last time is celebrating. Celebrating the people that said yes. So every time, the middle one was actually the first one that I posted, because they joined right at like within 2 days from each other. And it was cool because there was 4 of them, and I popped their pictures in and I just put a big yes by it. And I notified everybody in the group that these 4 ladies had said yes to changing their lives, right? And I gave them a shout out. So then the next person said yes, and the next person said yes, and I did that same shout out to them as well. And then I don't have it on here, but then even if somebody joins after, you can still do a shout out to them. But I think I don't like peer pressure, but it's kind of like peer pressure. It's like, hey, well, that person's joining. They may not know them, but it's like, okay, other people are joining this, so this is like a real thing. This isn't like, obviously they don't think it's a scam, but they feel like it's real and they want to be a part of it when they see other people saying yes. So I think that actually created some momentum compared to the last groups that I have done. Okay, so then the key is to build relationships, right? So they may feel like they have a relationship with me, but I don't have that relationship yet with them. And I want to know their goals, and I don't want to miss out on that piece, because that's the piece that was missing before for me. Was like, if I just sent someone to the sneak peek, I feel like I didn't get that one-on-one conversation with them. And then when they were starting a group, I wasn't like attuned to what their goals were. So I have them fill out my About Me form that I have the link for it here. So if you wanted to copy it, you can do it in Google Forms. But if you wanted to just copy the questions, create it once, you have it forever. You don't have to like, yes, it's work to create it, but it doesn't take that much time and you have it. So you can send it out all in the future. So I have them fill that out and then I schedule a one-on-one call with all of my new challengers. I don't do it with my graduate challengers, but just my new ladies, and it's about 15 to 20 minutes. Excuse me. And what I cover in the one-on-one call is first getting to know them more. So it's not just like businessy or like challengey. I just kind of chat and like, hey, let's be friends, like friend conversation. Then I go over their conversation. And then I make sure they have an on-demand program picked out. So that's the difference between when we didn't have on-demand or weren't really using it as much, is that they picked out their program before they purchased. So you don't want to miss that part. You want to help them figure out what works best for them. So we kind of talk about that. And then I also make sure to share about mixing Shakeology, because that I didn't realize that a lot of people were just mixing it with water, because I wasn't smart enough to like say, oh, this is the way that I like it. And then people usually don't like it as well if they're not mixing it. So I added that in because I was like, man, how could I forget to not tell people that? And then I remind them the more active challengers usually have the best results. So I start right away so that they're active within the group, because the more active they are, the better their results are going to be. And the more active they are, the better the group's going to be. And you want to have a good group because you want them to continue on, or you want them to join you on your team. And then I just ask if they have any questions. Obviously, I also put in, no one's perfect. I think that's key as well for that. But that's kind of where I do more of that relationship building with my challengers and helping them pick out the program. Whereas before I was talking all about those goals beforehand, which are important, and they are really important. But I found that live video where they connect with you has had more power for me in impacting them, because they're connecting with me in a live video and not a recording. I think that's it. Okay. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Anything that you want to start incorporating? Like, don't feel like you have to do it all at once. And I'm happy to share, if you want to do this, my entire script. My images kind of have some of my stuff on it, but I'll share the images so that you can recreate your own. But it may seem like it's going to take more time, but it saves a lot of time in the long run.
I loved the idea of the branding, Kate. I think I've had the idea of that, but like it kind of just hit me tonight. And then also, I've been kind of, I don't know what the word is, hesitant to start the prep lounge because it just intimidated me, and I feel a lot better about it after tonight, like seeing what you did. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And you answered all my questions that I wrote down, so.
I love how you break it down, Kate. That is awesome. So awesome. You do such a nice job, and I do feel like how you jump on there live and you're posting these things. And I noticed that you weren't Hootsuiteing them. Like when I saw your screenshots, I was like, these aren't Hootsuited. She's like actually posting them. I think that means a lot more. So you're able to be active and live in there when people are asking questions, if they happen to be on live when they're posting those things. I love it. And I was also just reading why we need to stop calling our groups groups. So I think the fact that you're branding it, and I kind of forgot that you did, like, I knew you did a boot camp, but I forgot you did like the Busy Girl boot camp. So maybe all of you guys should be really thinking about, like, maybe you don't have to come up with a specific thing, but everybody does groups. Okay. It's all accountability groups, it's all this stuff. And I was just reading how we really need to be branding ourselves individually, which is what Kate just talked about. So that was really good.
And I think we're going to get cut off, but okay, so it takes a half hour to do the video, and it takes a little bit of time to do those transformation posts at the beginning. but you save so much time. I can't even begin. Instead of talking with 50 people that I don't know who's interested, I know who is interested out of the 10. So I follow up with everybody and say, hey, did you get a chance to watch the video if they didn't reach out? But the ones that respond to me are the ones that I invest the most time in the conversations with. Instead of investing like